Hi, I'm Chad.
And I'm Brianne.
Hi, I'm Kieran.
And we're here to share Kierans' story.
So we had a normal pregnancy leading up to Kieran's birth, and then after he was born, they did all the normal checks on him, and they heard a heart murmur. And of course, we were dazed and tired afterwards, and somebody else came and checked, and they kept checking and checking, and they said they needed to do an echo because it didn't seem normal. So they took him back, several hours after he was born to do an echo, and they did an echo. And Dr. Singh diagnosed him with Schoen's complex, or Schoen syndrome. And what that is that's multiple defects of the left side of the heart. So he had basically 4 things that were wrong with the left side of his heart that were going to cause problems in the future. And we were told that at some point he's going to have surgery to correct them. And they're going to have multiple surgeries. So they're going to correct him one thing at a time to see how it affects the next phase. So they fix one thing, see how he does, fix another, and see how he does from that point on.
Hearing Schoen syndrome, I was like, okay, well, what's that? And they described it, and it didn't really make a lot of sense at the time. Big words, big problems, didn't really process it. And then went home, got on the internet, wished I hadn't got on the internet, and basically sort of realized how lucky we are in the fact that he has a more mild case of Schoen's complex or syndrome, because it could have been a lot worse. And so I just sort of have been focusing on could be worse, could always be worse. The next step after the diagnosis was just to have checkups with the cardiologist. We saw Dr. Singh every other week, and then when he was almost 5 months old, 4.5 months old, had an echo done, and they saw that his coarctation was extreme enough that we needed surgery then.
It was one of those things we'd gotten every 2 weeks, and everything was fine. We got lulled into the habit of that. We were actually trying to decide what we were going to have for lunch that appointment, and Dr. Singh left, and then he came back in, and he just had a very different demeanor to him when he came back in the door. And and we were, just been talking about what we want to do for lunch and that evening and everything, and he's like, things have changed. He's like, we have to do, surgery in the next 2 weeks, or else his heart could stop beating. But what they had to do, and Dr. Overman explained this really well, is they just had to basically cut out the kink and sew the aorta back together where they cut out the kink. And and I remember him telling me, he said, they'll clamp off the aorta, and he said it takes about 20 minutes, and they'll suture it together, and he's only 5 months old, so it's very delicate and everything like that. So it makes you really nervous. I mean, it says aorta, and they're cutting off his blood supply, so it was a big deal. And
the surgery went well. It will be the easiest surgery that he will have to go through. And the doctor was very impressed with how well he did it, how quickly he did it. There weren't any complications during the surgery. After the surgery, he had some blood pressure issues, which kept him in the ICU for longer than we wanted. But once his blood pressure came down, he was a champ at recovering.
After that, we went every month and had the checkups with Dr. Singh, so they could check, and had a few echoes to see how things were going and how the blood was flowing and how that repair was affecting the other things that were wrong with his heart. And we were told, to expect that at any point, we could have to do another surgery. So we were going, and eventually got spread out to once every 6 months. We were going to get his heart checked out and get an echo done and just kind of see how things were going with his heart. So in August, we had the best news we've had so far. We met with Dr. Singh and did the echo and everything, and he said we have an entire year before we have to go back to see, for an echo and to look at his heart again. And that's the longest window we've had without having to go, because it's a lot of stress, when you have to go see the cardiologist. 2 weeks prior, I'm just a wreck, and I'm stressed, and I'm crabby, because you're worried you can get the news he's going to have another heart surgery. But he's doing unexpectedly great. He's doing really well right now, so he said we don't have to go back for an entire year, so we're very happy about that.
The future holds for Kieran some more surgeries. How many, we don't know. He could have only 1 more. He could have 4 more. His next surgery could be in August, or it could be when he's 10. It's all dependent on how he grows, how his heart grows. And so it's always just wait and see. My wish for Kieran would be for him to just have as much fun in life as he can, to be a productive little guy, to grow up, be a phenomenal young man.
I hope he grows up to be just a good man, you know what I mean, to do good things, to fall in love, to be happy, to be healthy. You know, I think, the thing that changed me the most and kind of changed my perspective is being in the PICU and watching his blood pressure go up, and you're just worried about whether he's going to be there the next day or the next week. I used to want, like a really nice canoe. I really wanted a really nice car, and all this. But after that, all I care about is spending time with him and him having a good life. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, that's the single most important thing every day, is him having a good life.